Hey guys, this is Stacy from Easy Acupuncture School. We're today going to do the 10 questions, part one. So, what we're going to talk about is how to interview your patient. We're going to go over what's classically known as the 10 questions, and we'll talk about that more. I'm going to go through the classical way that it was asked, which was a few hundred, 2,000 years ago. Then I'm going to go into a more conversational style of how to interview your patients, and then I'm going to end up with uh, the down and dirty of like what I, as an acupuncturist of 13 years, ask my patients and what I'm most interested in about my patients initially to help me figure out what's going on with them. So let's get started. And I'm going to go to the magic screen here. Once again, I'm Stacy Hewitt. That's me pointing to myself. I point a lot. I don't know why, but anyway, that's me. I've been an acupuncturist for 13 years. I've been teaching for about seven. And what I've focused on primarily with my teaching is to prepare students for clinic. This isn't necessarily for those that are trying to prepare for their board exams. It can still be interesting, but this is really for students who may be a little nervous about going into clinic. This is just to help you feel more confident. That's awesome stuff. So let's start, okay? So let me get my little magic screen going down here. I know I said the same thing over and over, magic screen, but here we go. Share. All right. And to hide this one bar here, sorry. Loading menu, and then slideshow. Beginning. Okay. Bam bam. Patient interview, which is really exciting. You know, when you first get down and start talking with your patients, why I say get down is like when we had clinic, our school was upstairs and our clinic was downstairs. So that's what I meant by when you get down, not like when you get down. It's more like when you get downstairs into the clinic. But anyway, so patient interview is very important because that's where you're going to get all of your information about your patient. And also, it's going to be how you're getting the information you need for diagnosis. Anyway, let's talk about that. Who am I? I've already said Stacy Hewitt. I'm a licensed acupuncturist and a licensed massage therapist. 13 years acupuncturist, 25 years licensed massage therapist. That's probably too long to be a massage therapist, but anyway, acupuncture teacher for 7 years, and you're already on my YouTube channel. But here is my YouTube channel link for Easy Acupuncture School for all the lectures. These are all the lectures. I post all the lectures that I do with students to help prepare them for clinic. And then if you need to email me, there's my contact email. It's easyacuschool@gmail.com. So anyway, let's get started. When you interview a patient, what do you ask? You don't ask, what's up? You don't ask them, hey, what's your zodiac sign? It's a true story, and the guy did not graduate from my acupuncture school. He dropped out. But we had a guy in my class, and it was like the second year. We would have patients come in, and we would interview them, or the teacher would interview them, and then we get chances to ask them questions. And he was like, started to hit on the patient, which don't you do that? That is a disgrace to acupuncturists, all out, and everyone who's worked so hard to get to where they are. It's a disgrace to them, and it's disrespectful to your patients. So don't do this. But he was like, "Hey, what's your zodiac sign? What's your?" And it was like he was just asking irrelevant questions. So one of the points of this lecture is to teach you what questions are applicable. Okay. Don't be asking about their zodiac sign or what their, you know, favorite movie is, that's irrelevant. And like I said, that guy didn't graduate anyway. He didn't deserve to be an acupuncturist. So what you want to ask, what this is what you want to ask. You wanted to ask the succinct, detailed questions about their primary concern. That's the biggest thing, is to find out why they're there. Therefore, don't be making assumptions about them and what they need or what the treatment they need. You need to find out exactly why they're there for. You want to ask questions that are related to their primary concerns. If their primary concern is a cough, don't be asking them about their toenail fungus, okay? Because they'll probably say, I don't have toenail fungus. Just because your last patient had toenail fungus doesn't mean this patient has toenail fungus. So ask them about their primary concerns, okay? How do we do that? We do it through a good intake. Always, if you ever are in need, go to my site and go to the forum section. There's a PDF. Download my PDF and change the name on it. Put your name on there, not mine. But it's a good detailed form. Make sure you have a good intake form for your patient, because you want to be able to go over that and read that, especially in the beginning when you might not feel comfortable with all the questions or know all the questions you need to ask diagnostically. Make sure you have a good intake form that they can fill out. It's very important. And then here are the 10 questions. Okay. Or more about the 10 questions, I guess. The 10 questions were originally used to outline, as an outline or guide for acupuncturists to know what to ask. The 10 questions, this is interesting because a lot of Chinese medicine initially was taught via song. They would get their students to memorize things via song. I think they've done that up until recent, maybe not in the 2020s, but probably up to the 2000s. So anyway, the Zhang Jingyue, and I probably pronounced his name incorrectly. I apologize, old Zhang. But anyway, back into 1563 to 1640, came up with this, the Ming Dynasty, and it's been later supplemented. But he was the first one that outlined all of this for acupuncturists way back then. So this is a classical version. So first you ask about hot and cold. Second, you ask about sweat. Third, you ask about their head and their body. And the fourth, you ask about their stool and urine. And fifth, you ask about the food and drink. Sixth, you ask about their chest. Seventh, ask about hearing. Eighth, you ask about thirst. Ninth, ask about the old diseases that they've had. And 10, ask about the causes of the old diseases. Ask also if they were taking any medicinals, what changes appeared when they took those medicinals. Women especially asked the times of menses, how the flow is. Is it slow or fast? Is it blocked? Does it not happen? Or is it flood out? For children, add what their experiences are with measles and chicken pox. So, and usually when we're in class, when I'm together with people, I say, let's sing this together. And everybody freaks out because I don't get them to sing in real life. But I'm like, let's sing this like they do in China. In China, let's sing this. And everybody's like, I've lost my voice. But like I said, the way that they taught this, a lot of their medicine was through song for the memorization part of it. It's very interesting. We don't do that too commonly nowadays. I don't know of any school that teaches everything via song, but anyway. So the summary of the 10 questions are: temperature, do you get hot or cold? Sweat, how much do you sweat? Face and head, are there any problems about that? Pain in general in your body. Urine and stool, how is your urine output? How and what quality is your stool? We'll talk about all this in a lot more detail. Got a lot of slides coming up. Thirst, do you drink a lot of water or little sips? Appetite, are you hungry or not? and your sense of taste. Sleep, how well do you sleep? Do you have other issues with your thorax or abdominal area? Gynecological issues? Do you have any? What's your menstruation like? Are you regular? It's all very important. And then other history. Is there anything else? Is there anything we've talked about a lot today, but is there anything else that we have not talked about that you think is important? That's always the best question and one of the most important questions to ask them at the end. Because you could talk and people will talk and talk and talk about stuff, and then suddenly they will you'll think you've got everything, and you ask them that one question. Is there, we've talked about a lot. Is there anything that we've missed that you think is important? And here comes the big one out, right? Here comes the big one. So, the important piece of the puzzle that you have missed, or not that you have missed it, it's that they haven't been forthcoming about. So, anyway, if that's the summary, let's go into these in more detail. Questions about temperature. Hot or cold, fevers or chills. I mean, if they have a fever and they're coming to see you now after post-COVID, you start to worry a little bit, I guess. It's like, do you have COVID or not? Have you taken a COVID test recently? I won't even go into COVID, and not that I'm naysayer of COVID or anything like that. It's like I'm one of the practitioners that I don't really treat COVID. I'll just leave it at that because I don't personally want to get sick. I know people aren't dying as much as they were before or anything of that nature, but I have too many patients that depend on me for me to get sick. Plus, my family depends on me to support them. So, if somebody has COVID, uh, don't come into my office. Wait until you're better. I can't afford to be sick. Um, Hot or cold, find out, hot, asking them if they're hot or cold or if they have fevers or chills. That helps you find out the level of disease as well as whether it's an internal, inside, or external. Hot or cold also really talks about, are you yin deficient? Are you yang deficient? I was just having the conversation with somebody, a patient, right before this. It's about as we all get older, we start having the thermostat wars, meaning the wife wants to turn the air conditioner up and the man wants to turn the heat up, so it's up and down, up and down. And she was like, oh gosh, you're right. I was like, yeah, that's just kind of how it works. But example, external wind cold is essentially the common cold, but before a fever or other heat signs such as yellow mucus has begun. This is an important distinction as treatments for wind cold and wind heat are quite different. So, wind cold, do you have a clear sputum versus a yellow sputum, denoting coldness, clear sputum versus yellow, which is hot. So, do you have fevers and chills? And more than likely it's something hot versus, yeah, I have a cold, but I aren't experiencing any fevers, then that's probably more of a wind cold issue. And then also when they talk about levels of disease, you can look at the pathogen where sometimes when they talk about in the classics when it's modulating or vacillating between the interior and the exterior, kind of in the Xiao Yang level, people will have intermittent chills and fever and then be okay because it's getting pushed out further and then it goes back in. So then they start having the fevers again. So this helps you figure out where the pathogen's located. Or if there is a yin deficiency or yang deficiency. So you know which trail to kind of start barking down. Temperatures continued. Acute conditions with chills predominating is an external wind cold issue. Acute, usually these acute issues are on the exterior. Acute condition with a fever predominating, external wind heat. Well, okay. I got it ahead of myself. So yes, so these acute. So look for a fever or not. Not a fever. It's probably wind cold. Fever, definitely wind heat or heat cold. If it's acute, it's more on the surface, so it's more of a wind stage. Alternates between feeling hot and cold. Remember, I just mentioned this the Xiao Yang stage of disease. It's in the in between the exterior and in between the interior. It's in between Xiao Yang. Alternates between feeling, oh, I just read that, low grade fever in the afternoons or evenings, yin deficiency. Yes, the when you have a really pronounced, it's probably going to say, uh, this is if you have some of this fever that were, well, no, it doesn't say that, but a lot of times when you have these really big fevers, that's going to be more of a type of it's not going to be yin. It's going to be more of a yang Ming kind of disease, something that's not been around for a long time, but it is is. I don't want to say it's acute, like it's just been there for a day or two, but I guess it's something like what you would consider the flu. This low grade fever is more like something that's been around for a while. Like tuberculosis, you'll have a low grade fever. Sometimes with lupus things or autoimmune diseases, you'll have a little bit of a fever. It's not a really big fever. It's just really slight, or it might just be like the feeling of heat, not even like I feel hot all the time. Yin deficiency. The disease is starting to, and the disease is starting to consume or batter the kidney energy. And so the yin starts to deplete, and that's why you start getting these low grade or feelings of hot heat in the afternoon or low grade fevers. I, the last lecture that I did, I talked a little bit about how long term disease affects the kidneys, the 401k, an energetic 401k, and how the kidneys provide these support beams, kind of the supports that hold things up when things are going a little sideways in the body when we have disease. And the classics say in times of enduring disease, check the kidneys. Enduring diseases go to the kidneys. And that's what they're talking about. It's like the kidneys are the energy from the kidneys do a lot of things, but they provide support in time of need. So when we have a long term enduring disease, then the kidneys, when the rest of the body starts to go kaput and give out, the kidneys have to try to like rally the troops to try to support it. So that's what they mean by long enduring diseases go to the kidneys, go into the kidneys. So if somebody's been sick for a long time, check the kidneys. You might need to support them. Chronic low grade fever, damp heat condition, because dampness makes things stick around for a long time. It becomes sticky and it just sticks around. So chronic low grade fever, damp heat condition. Think of that. Think about that first of all. And all of this stuff is not definite, definitive. It's just like this is all Chinese medicine. Everything can be everything, and anything can be anything. Doesn't necessarily that mean that every time you run against a person that has a chronic low grade fever, it's immediately damp heat, but it means that most of the time it's that. So look at that first. Patients feel hot without fever, some type of internal heat, probably heat generated from the liver. Ask if they're stressed out. Patients feel cold without signs of external pathogens, equals internal cold. Find out about how their yang systems are. How is the if do they are they low in yang and that's why they're cold, or have they had some kind of cold invasion that's been stuck in the body? Fever that worsens in the afternoon, Yang Ming stage of disease. we'll just leave it at that. Just follow what it says. Yes. Fever. Anytime you have a big fever, start thinking about a yang-based disease, especially the young Ming, like it's the bright yang. Right? That's where a lot of these febrile diseases will collect. Questions about sweating. We've talked about sweating a long time ago, but we're going to talk about it again. Spontaneous daytime sweating with little or no exertion, that's qi or yang deficiency. Probably in the second lecture that I recorded, we talked about spontaneous sweating and how I was at a job one time before I was an acupuncturist, and we had a guy who came in that I'm not sure, he just got out of the hospital, and I'm not sure what was going on. I didn't even think about asking details back then. I wasn't, I just wasn't in the medicine mode, I guess. And he was not sick with the fever or the flu. He just had gotten out of the hospital and he was recovering from something. And he started doing a presentation and he was just sweating bullets. And it wasn't because he was nervous. He was as confident as a person could be. He was just still recovering. And so his chi was not strong. So he was starting to sweat profusely. They talk about lung qi and how that controls the pores and keeps the sweat in. Well, that's true, but he didn't have any lung issues. It was more of a qi deficiency, general qi deficiency. And that's why his system was so weak, he was just sweating like crazy. Night sweats. A lot of times it's a yin deficiency. A lot of times it's a kidney yin deficiency. So start thinking about where's the yin running short, especially if it's some type of empty heat pattern, meaning if a person is not exercising, is not running around, and is not doing anything, and is not chi deficient, not weak and sick, and they're sweating and they're hot all the time, it's going to probably be some type of yin deficiency. Sweating on the palms of the hand. You can't see my feet, but the palms of the soles of your feet and your chest. That's what's called classically the heat in the five palms. Right? 1, 2, feet were considered palms, 3, 4, and the chest was considered metaphorically a palm. So that's also a yin deficient sign. A lot of that goes back to night sweats. Typically, you would see that in menopausal women, but that's what the five palms are. Sweating of the whole body, lung qi deficiency, just like that guy I was talking about at the very beginning of the slide. Somebody who was sick and their chi was weak, so their lungs were not able to keep the pores closed. Hyperhidrosis, that means I sweat too much. Now, this is an interesting one. You need to, well, if you have somebody that comes in, I had a patient oh, years ago that came in. He was coming in specifically for this. And one of the things you need to ask that patient is when you're hanging out, watching TV, do your armpits sweat profusely? Because that's what his complaint was. It's like, my armpits sweat all the time, profusely, and stain my clothes and things like that. And so you ask him, it's like, when you're hanging out at the house, do you sweat profusely, or is it just when you go in to ask your boss for a raise? And if it's only situations that are stress inducing, then think about the liver or the heart, because both of those can be affected in time of duress. And when somebody's stressed out about something and they sweat, that's going to be the liver and the heart. It has nothing to do with their chi, unless they're really sick too at the same time. Then I guess it could be with about their chi. But think about the liver and the heart first of all, and try to discern if they're just sitting around sweating for no reason, and they're not nervous, then it probably is something with their chi being deficient. But if they're nervous, look at the liver and the heart. Questions about the head and face. I like this picture. Makes me laugh. Anyway, so headaches. Headaches is a big thing that you will see. And I will, well, I'll get to, well, we'll get to this when we get to it. But one of the things it talks about this on the right hand side of the right column, but you always want to ask, where's the headache located? You know, is it the front, sides, top, back? So that kind of helps you figure out what's going on. But chronic headaches, a lot of times if it's chronic, if it's been a long time, then it's probably some kind of internal disharmony. Are they severe? It means it's an excess condition. It's a dull, you know, does pressure make it feel better? That's usually a deficient condition. Is it feels like a distended, like your head's swelling up, you know, like in the cartoons when you see somebody's head like after somebody hit them on the head with a hammer, or so throbbing pain. That would be more of a liver type pain. Boring pain means that's stabbing, boring, like somebody's has a sharpened bamboo stake and they're trying to get it to go into, you know, twirl it so, and then trying to get it to bore into your head. That's what they're talking about when they say boring pain. So a lot of times if it's stabbing pain, boring pain, that's blood stagnation, liver blood stagnation probably. But it's a blood stagnation thing. Worse with the wind and or cold condition, worse with fatigue. That's deficiency. You know, with a lot of things that could be internal issues, not just headaches, but I had somebody with, well, vertigo recently. And vertigo, a big thing is to ask, you know, is it, do you get it? Is it worse with fatigue? Because that says something about it could be a deficient pattern. But is it worse with fatigue? Is this headache worse with fatigue? So that would be chi deficiency. Now here's another big one. Does your head feel like it's heavy, like you've got a wet, damp towel wrapped around there? And it's a good image for people. They completely get that when you say that. And if they have dampness, because that's what it's going to equate to being a damp condition up here, they will immediately, oh yeah, I know what you're talking about. Yes, it feels like there's a wet, damp towel wrapped around my head. So always use that analogy or it's not really symbology, but just that image. People get it. Like I was saying earlier, frontal headache. Usually that's Yang Ming. Think about that. Temporal headache. They say Xiao Yang. Temporal headache, a lot of times it's liver, like liver stress. You get this question mark type of pattern, meaning like there's this, the pattern looks like a question mark, goes around the ear and up and over the head. And that would be Xiaoyang, especially liver vertex. It's right on the top of the head, the crown. You'll see that they will talk about that's a more of a liver-based pattern. It's because of some of the internal channels that go inside the head for the liver go up into there. Posterior or occipital Taiyang meridians. It's the bladder meridian. A lot of times you'll have those erector spinae that are in the back that connect right to the back of the skull, and that's where they're talking about. It's like right underneath the occipital ridge. It's right in there. You know, right in, turn around, right back in there. Worst during the day, qi or yang deficiency. Once again, it would be a question to ask: do you get fatigued too? Because your energy is supposed to be very vital during the day. So sometimes when our energy is not vital, our head will start to hurt. Worse during the evening, blood or yin deficiency. At night is the yin time. So that's why if you're having some issues in the evening in particular, then look and see if there's something going on with the yin, and blood is yin, right? So if there's some kind of yin feature that's going awry, that's causing some of these hip issues. Dizziness with loss of balance, internal wind, that wind's blowing you all over the place, right? Can't keep your balance. And also you think about balance, what is that involved with? Your muscles, you know, proprioception of the muscles. So that could have a wind quality. Heavy or muzzy feeling in the head, phlegm, obstruction, phlegm in there. That towel, that wet, damp towel that we were just talking about has gotten even more damp and wet and thick with that phlegm. So your head's really feeling heavier or muzzy, meaning it's like you muzzy means you just can't really focus, can't really think. Worse with fatigue, the dizziness, chi deficiency, sudden onset, excess condition, like you just got an external pathogen that hits you right in the face there, and this came on really quick. If it's a gradual onset, usually that means there's been a deficiency that's been going on for a bit, and it's just caught up with you. It's like the straw that broke the camel's back. Slowly you put a straw in at a time, and slowly it builds up until snap, the camel's back breaks. I used to have a game that was like that. It was like a plastic camel. You put little straws in there. Eventually, somebody would put the straw in there that would break its back. It was a long time ago. I was a small kid then. Eyes, eye pain, swelling, and or redness. Liver fire. Think of how the liver heat goes up here. You'll have somebody with the red eyes, and they're all like, angry. And their eyes are like bloodshot and red. But that's also think about when somebody drinks really heavily. They talk about they get the bloodshot eyes. It's all that heat coming up from the liver. Blurred vision and or floaters, liver blood. We talked about liver blood last lecture about how that nourishes the eyes. So when you're not getting enough nourishment up there, enough liver blood, you'll get some of this blurred vision or these floaters moving around. Dry eyes, deficiency of the kidney yin or liver yin. I would think more so going back to liver yin because the liver really controls the eyes. Sometimes you can kidney yin some hormonally that can dry, the eyes can be dried out as well. So that's when I would think of kidney yin. But if it's no etiology and their eyes are just drying out, I would think liver yin. Yellow sclera jaundice. Enough said with that. Uh, Abnormal eye movements and twitching. That's internal wind. Liver's all about being twitchy, controlling those muscles. So liver wind. I was just thinking of a patient that used to, sometimes we talk about with their tongue when you're looking at a person's tongue and it's just shaking. I just remember somebody used to have a tongue that just would shake around. Once again, it's that twitching is liver yin. Twitching is always liver spasmosticity. Ooh, I could talk today. Okay, ears, sudden onset tinnitus, excess condition. Bam, anything that's sudden usually is something that, not always, but usually something external. And this is saying liver, heat, and wind. So the thing to think about tinnitus is you need to find out from a person, A, what pitch is it? Is it high pitch? A lot of times if it's high pitch, that means that it's the liver. If it's low pitch, it means it's the kidney. A lot of times the high pitch will come on more quickly. The low pitch is more gradual. Doesn't always have to be that, but A lot of times it's like that. It doesn't always have to be liver's quick, kidney slow, but a lot of times. But the big thing to ask a person is, have you, has this, how has this come on for you? Has this gradually come on? Or is this something from you're in the military? If it's a person's been in the military and all they did is shot cannons, or they were a rebel and all they did is had their head against the speaker at a rock show, then some of that the tinnitus might be brought on by your environment, and that's different than is it liver heat or wind or kidneys. It's just that they've had some probably structural damage. And tinnitus, you know, tinnitus is one of those things that's very difficult to treat. I have gone to, uh, I have studied with many folks, and I've studied with folks that are smarter and more capable than me, and I've talked to them about tinnitus. And every class you go to, you always hear the people that are more experienced than you tell you tinnitus is a tough one. And in my experience, tinnitus has been a tough one. But, you know, don't turn anyone away, because I've had a couple of people that I have turned to the better. But there's been a lot of people that it's just really haven't had much of an effect with. But just giving you a heads up, tinnitus is tough. Chronic tinnitus, kidney deficiency. Think about how the kidneys control the ear. Sudden onset deafness, excess condition where you was your head against the cannon as it was going off. Gradual onset of deafness, it's a kidney deficiency. Pain. We're going to stop there today because I've got a patient coming up, and I will continue this in a little bit. Hey, thanks for joining me. Like, subscribe, sign up for the newsletter, because especially for this one, there's a lot of dense material, and all of this stuff is on my drive, and it's in a PDF format, so it's easy to view and easy to refer to. It's free, doesn't cost you anything. I'm not going to be selling you Dr. Popper's magic youth pills. If you sign up, I'm not going to be sending you advertisements for anything. It's just for me to keep track of who has access to the drive and to give you permissions to the drive. But sign up, because this is dense material, and it might not be as exciting as some of the other lectures that I've done, but it's good to have this all in one place so you can reference. So anyway, like, subscribe, sign up for the newsletter. I'll see you guys in a bit, and we'll continue on with this great, wonderful, and exciting journey of the 10 questions. Thanks, guys.